Hello, everyone. Today we're discussing this idea. The good life is a process, not a state of being, conceptualized by Carl Rogers. This man was so influential, he won a Nobel Peace Prize. I didn't know that. So, what is behind this idea? Well, I think we probably all understand this to some degree. We all have wants and desires and things we want to achieve, right? But will it make us happy? That's the question, right? Will it give us a good life if we had everything we wanted? Carl Rogers says no, it won't. Spoiler alert. He says you have to think about it differently. It's not that simple, but at the same time, it's even simpler. The key thing to understand here is a lot of people have their own views of the world, right? And they bring it to you, and they kind of impose it on you a lot of the time. Not all of the time, but a lot of the time, some of the time, that happens. And that creates what's known as resistance. It's also called repression, which is where you feel invalidated for doing something. And because we're wired to interact with other people and socialize with other people and get along with people from when we're small, that action is now a bad thing to your brain until you realize otherwise. So, the reason why that's a bad thing, right? Because that's just describing what happens. Why is it bad? Well, when we repress, Carl Rogers explains, we are cutting ourselves off from the essential emotions and experiences that we need to have in order to flourish mentally and physically. So, how do we get around this? What's the solution, right? So we've outlined the problem and where it comes from. What's the solution? Well, we need to come back to our senses, right? That's the goal. We've been pulled away from our natural feeling of what we feel authentically and truly on the inside. We've been pulled away from that by societal expectations that we've conformed to, and that's become strengthened and conditioned. And we need to get back to the state we were in to begin with, or at least back to that more authentic, aware version of ourselves where we can experience all the emotions we have, whether they're approved of or not, whether they're uncomfortable or not, so that we can have a full emotional experience and be free in that sense. And the reason why we got into this whole situation in the first place is because of this repression. So, you need to pay attention to how you're feeling without judgment. That's the tricky part. Carl Rogers' proposed solution is what's called unconditional positive regard. One of the trickiest but most effective methods to solving this problem. Unconditional positive regard means full acceptance of who you are, which means allowing yourself to feel all the emotions and not regulating restrictively your own feelings and thoughts. And you need honest expression And so that's where his psychotherapeutic method comes in, right? He would listen to people, and he wouldn't impose his way of being onto people. And that created beautiful results, because when we get listened to, we open up more. And that means we reveal the parts of ourselves that were hidden, and we didn't even know they were hidden. And so, once we achieve that, let's say it's something you can achieve just for the sake of clear explanation. Once that procedure strengthens and it becomes a practice, that process of authentic self-expression is what creates the full range of human emotions that we can experience. And because we can experience all of those emotions, we experience the full effect of mental flourishing that is possible, that is not possible otherwise. And that is where the conclusion comes from. The good life is a process, not a state of being.